Monday morning, we had 2 inmates that escaped custody of Hays State Prison.
When 2 dangerous convicts break out of prison, a massive manhunt will work day and night, racing the clock with a single goal: find the fugitives.
Any questions?
Behind bars, there are 2 sets of rules: the prison protocol and the convict code.
Quit looking around, boy, before you get your ass skin up.
To survive one code, you may have to break the other. For 1 year, National Geographic followed the lives of inmates and correctional officers in the state of Georgia. When a paramilitary system is up against convicted felons, who's really in charge?
To the hole where you will stay.
This is a year locked in. It is October 13th, 2008, 10:45 in the morning, and a crisis is unfolding. 2 dangerous felons have just escaped Hays State Prison and are now on the loose.
They're not too far, they're bleeding badly.
I know.
They scaled 2 fences covered with razor wire in broad daylight, possibly sustaining severe injuries.
Which one is it? Sit that over there on the left.
You driving and load this weapon up.
The perimeter vehicle was passing by, saw 2 blankets full of blood in the outer fence. 2 white boys. They're gone.
Lieutenant Jose Lopez and Officer Morgan Stowe are the first responders. The prison has just discovered blood-soaked blankets on the damaged fence and is confirming an escape with an emergency count.
Clear the fence, run to that clearing area where the wood line is, and then there's a little river. Once they cross it, they're in there somewhere. They're hurt.
As the first on the scene, Lopez and Stowe have a grave responsibility. Their mission is simply to spot and stop the fugitives, using whatever means necessary.
25, 34.
If you got eye-to-eye contact, you better stop and hit the ground. And escapee does not require a warning shot. You get the picture on that?
The emergency count has confirmed the escape, and the alarm sounds. It alerts the locals and all nearby law enforcement that a manhunt is officially underway. They quickly deduce that the missing men are Michael Tweedle and Johnny Mac Brown. Tweedle is doing 20 years for holding up a store with a gun, the culmination of a lifetime of drugs and crime. If not for today, he would have to wait until 2019 to see the outside world. Brown has even more years for a much harder crime. In December 1997, he robbed an armored truck, shooting the guard 3 times. He later claimed the robbery and the ensuing gun battle were part of a suicide attempt, and he hoped he'd be killed first. At his trial, the judge told him he was too dangerous to ever live in society and sentenced him to life plus 70 years, to be sure he never would.
I'm almost certain that they're still in the woods because it takes them a little time to come out of here. But which way did they go? That way or this way? Did they cross the river? I see something white out there.
Go down here in the woods.
It's straight down there about 75 yards out.
Lopez and Stowe are searching an area where the Chattooga River and Penn Bridge Road provide natural barriers to an easy escape. The fugitives are confirmed missing from the C dormitory and would have to travel a quarter of a mile through dense woods before reaching the river. And with K-9 units picking up the chase from the prison, they could be driven straight into Lopez and Stowe.
It doesn't seem like it's much distance, but they're cut up pretty bad in all that wooded area. They're gonna move slow. Are those K-9s 10-8 yet?
This is the first time in 10 years that an inmate has succeeded in escaping Hays State Prison from within its own walls. It is that incident everyone prepares for, but nobody ever expects to experience. The first few days of a manhunt are the most important. That is the time to assume the fugitives are still in the area, still close enough to catch. This is hour 1.
Right now, we're looking for any article of state clothing, because the number one thing they want to do is get out of them white clothes that say prisoner on the back.
Another thing you gotta think of also, was there a vehicle waiting for them?
Local police, state police, and prison vans arrive on the scene, canvassing the roads with one emergent purpose.
Go up a couple hundred yards and then come back with your patrol out here.
Find the fugitives. In this critical first hour, Lopez, Stowe, and the police are reacting with pure urgency. There are canine units in the woods and officers covering as much territory as possible. But the manhunt may not end so quickly. Back at the prison, a calculated strategy is starting to take shape. Rick Jacobs has just arrived from Atlanta. He is the director of special operations, the man to call for anything from escapes to riots to large-scale shakedowns. His first priority is to look at his resources and organize the operation.
You've got to establish your nucleus, your core communication center. It's the decision room, so to speak, for every action, every decision that will be made. That's where all communications will be coming in and going out.
From this command center, Jacobs will work side by side with the heads of local law enforcement, the sheriffs, canine units, and U.S. Marshals. They will pool all their information to make the most important decision: where to set the external perimeter. With the prison as the starting point, they must estimate the farthest distance the inmates could have reached on foot. Factoring in time lapsed since the escape and the roughness of the terrain, this is the boundary of the whole search. The entire area, from perimeter to prison, is the containment zone and will be searched and worked by every resource the prison has. To set the perimeter, the team first needs to know what they're up against in terms of simple logistics.
The most critical information that you need is to determine when the person actually left the compound. That will dictate how far out your perimeter needs to be. Now, you have to merge all of that information with the topography of the local area. You've got natural parameters around Hays State Prison, traversing waterways and the rough terrain.
A key piece of the equation is also knowing who they are working against. Who are Tweedle and Brown? National Geographic captured this footage of the men during its year of filming at the prison. Jacobs knows they are two middle-aged men who shared a cell and kept out of trouble. Both have very long sentences and therefore little to lose. And one of them has done this before. 10 years ago, Johnny Mac Brown escaped a county jail near Athens, Georgia. For over 3 weeks, he was on the lam, reportedly burglarizing, even assaulting a nearby resident. By the time of his recapture, he had earned the nickname the Athens Terrorist. Jacobs knows Brown will resort to violence again if necessary. As they await directives, an army is mobilizing in the prison parking lot.
Guys, we gotta get loaded up.
Canines in the woods right now.
The Hays Tactical Squad, a select group of correctional officers specially trained for these rare occasions, is preparing to roll out, set the perimeter, and create roadblocks. For some, this is the first time their job has gone outside the prison fences.
10 minutes. As soon as everybody gets formed up, we'll start distributing these out. I'll give you what little information I got. If you didn't know, I'll go ahead and tell you now, we did have a sighting that was called in 30 minutes ago. They saw 2 inmates, but you know, you're gonna have a lot of those. You know if they ever got the chopper? On the way.
2 hours after the escape, Jacobs and his team have the intelligence they need. They estimate how long it would take for any man to run from the prison perimeter to Taylor's Ridge, the natural border to the south. He knows the men were injured, and one of them has escaped before. Drawing from all this, the perimeter is set, creating a containment zone of 16 square miles to be cleared as quickly as possible. The search is on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Parade, Rick. On the last known track, they are across Spring Creek Road, okay? Get pairs of 2s. Make sure at least one of you has a radio or a cell phone or both. Everybody got their weapons? Weapons check? All right. All right, everybody set? We on the ride. Let's ride.
As the day moves on, most officers are working the search, and the prison is eerily quiet. A roadblock at the front entrance keeps out everyone but key personnel. The officers seem stunned.
It's a hard day. Because I don't care whether you're off duty, you're on duty, it's your prison. You know, you want that individual back in there. And they will get caught.
Tonight, North Georgia police are on the lookout for 2 prisoners who escaped from Hays Prison this morning. Authorities are focusing their search on the northeastern portion of Chattooga County. They have roadblocks set up in the area, and they say if you see anything suspicious, give them a call.
It is now 12 hours since the escape. There are more than 100 officers on duty, and they'll be working straight through the night. On Spring Creek Road, Sheriff Ralph Kellett of the nearby town of Somerville personally mans one of the checkpoints.
We're conducting road checks in this area to see all vehicles coming or to be checked to see if anyone is concealed inside the vehicle.
You got anybody else in here?
Every car is searched. While there is concern that someone would assist the men, the main fear is that the fugitives, desperate and dangerous, would hijack or steal a vehicle.
It's uneasy for the community, to think that there's an inmate loose somewhere near their homes and families.
That's what makes an escapee dangerous, that feeling of desperation, willing to do anything to remain undetected and escape that immediate area where they know we're going to be looking for them at.
Tonight, like the next few nights, is a face-off. So far, the search team's assumption is that the fugitives are very close, possibly within earshot of a checkpoint like this. And during the cold nights, both sides will be waiting to see whose patience gives out first. It is day 2 of the biggest manhunt Hays State Prison has ever seen. After a long night patrolling the area, there is still no sign of Michael Tweedle or Johnny Mac Brown. The clock is ticking to find the fugitives before they find their way out of the perimeter. Even more important is capturing them before they become desperate and even more dangerous.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Commissioner James Donald is the Department of Corrections' top authority. He has just arrived from Atlanta and has brought with him some tough questions.
Okay, well, let's just get it on.
Our timeline is going to start. We had our regular routine yard call. That's why the C2 inmates are on the yard to start with. Then at 10:20, 34P notified control that there were sheets and blankets on the fence. At that time, it was identified that 2 inmates were missing. At 11:45, Mr. Jacobs arrived and took over the operation.
Based on our tracking, they left here in a southeasterly direction, worked down to the river, they crossed, then went about 50 yards, crossed back. They did that 4 times, back and forth, until they got up north of us, and then the dogs still caught up with the track. Dogs then tracked up to where the inmates laid down. The inmates, we felt, laid down at that point when that helicopter got over. They got in a very heavy canopy area. We could see the indention on the ground. We could see blood on the ground where the inmates lay.
Commissioner, myself and Investigator Minor arrived on scene and we secured the area. Of course, the cell was already secured. We did take photographs.
We cannot reveal the specifics of the escape, but it's clear that Tweedle and Brown used makeshift tools to scale the fences.
These are not novice. Both armed robbers. I am a little bit concerned about the history of John Mac Brown. He's a scary fella, and we want to make sure that we get him back in control as soon as possible. Our basic and most fundamental mission is to protect the public, and these are my guys. I want them back. I want you to take that personally, Warden and Deputy Warden. All right.
Behind the command center, inmates have been on lockdown since the incident, and they hold a completely different perspective.
Well, as soon as they escaped, they had the emergency count, and everything was real tight, and then they had zero movement around the compound.
There was a lot of shock at who it was. It's 2 older fellas. It's not who you would expect.
The mood was, excited and encouraged and inspired and, whatever else, and people were walking around and you could, see it in their faces. You're not supposed to be able to escape from this camp,
I can't say I prayed for them, you know what I'm saying? But deep down inside, hell yeah, I hope these dudes do get away, they never find them, man.
That's our team out there playing, If they got caught, we lose, so yeah, we'd be down.
Most inmates think of escaping, but a life on the run is too harsh, and the chance of getting caught is too high. On the Chang Gang, escape is an extreme dreamt by many, but attempted by few.
We've all thought about that, whether it's someone doing 5 years or someone doing life without. And I can certainly understand, what was running through Johnny Mac's mind.
When a guy in here loses hope, then, it's probably when he feels it's his time to go. Because what else you got to lose? Nothing. It's either you do this or you're going to die in the Chang Gang.
By now, the search team knows Johnny Mac Brown's history of escape and violence. Although disturbing, it is invaluable in predicting his next move.
Unless you catch him within the first few hours, you've got to be thinking larger and deeper and more personal than that as far as the escapee's tendencies. It was going to be necessary for us to be very persistent because we knew they were prepared to be very patient.
Less is known about Tweedle, but Brown lay low during his last escape. He broke into a home and hid in the attic for 3 days. When the opportunity arose, He surprised the 84-year-old resident, beat him with a barbell, and stole his car. The trouble is, the 16-square-mile containment zone has a lot of places where he could hide for days. All the officers can do is look for clues.
Way over here on Springfield Road, and there's a pear and some buckeyes sitting up on a picnic table.
Something as small as nuts or fruit could be signs of foraging for food. It is enough to call in the canine units. But after a quick investigation, this appears to be nothing worth the search dog's time. In a zone this vast and diverse, there are going to be a lot of possible clues. But the longer the fugitives stay put, the less evidence they leave behind. The search might seem overwhelming, but Jacobs and his team stick to a strategy.
Obviously, there's a method to this madness of recapturing an escapee.
The entire containment zone is divided into a grid with quadrants. Every quadrant is searched and cleared, which applies pressure to the fugitives. As they run out of hiding spaces, they will have to go on the move, becoming easier targets. Dead ends and cold trails actually mean the search could be getting closer. The more they clear, the higher the chance of a face-to-face encounter.
2 escapees from the Hays State Prison may still be hiding out inside the Chattooga County lines.
Chattooga County is buzzing over where the 2 escapees might be hiding today. They could be hiding closer than neighbors think.
It is day 3 of the manhunt. There are no credible leads or sightings of the fugitives, but over 100 officers are still clearing quadrants and perhaps getting closer. But with no credible intelligence coming from the outside, the team intensifies another part of the search, back behind bars, where the incident began.
There's other intel that must be ferreted out, potentially inside the facility. Other inmates that may have heard or seen, other staff members that may have heard or seen, anything that we may need to build into the equation to figure out what actually happened.
Today's focus is on cell phones in the C dormitory, where escapees Michael Tweedle and Johnny Mac Brown lived as cellmates. Another inmate may be using a phone to assist the men on the run by contacting relatives or calling for a pickup.
You know what we're in there for?
Definitely.
Okay.
Jacobs enlists Deputy Warden Cedric Taylor to organize a surprise shakedown.
Don't let anybody get to them. We want to talk to them ourselves, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Finding the cell phone could be crucial to finding the escapees, but they have to be fast before the phone is destroyed or smuggled out.
Cut the light on, please. Wash the shower shoes. Wash the shower shoes.
This whole operation relies on speed, catching the contraband before it can disappear into a toilet, a wall, or a body cavity.
Strip them out inside the cell. Put the mattress outside and lay them on the floor. And V69 key, V69.
Inmates are searched and questioned inside, while out front, Jacobs faces some tough questioning of his own. The prison has called a press conference to make an official announcement.
And as patient as these inmates are, we're going to be persistent to continue to ferret them out. And we're not going to stop looking for them until we capture them. Any questions?
We had somebody contact us that works inside here telling us about budget cuts.
And we have received calls from a number of people expressing concerns about the guard towers not being manned or undermanned.
In no way at this point have we recognized or realized any budget cuts that made any impact on our ability to maintain a less than safe prison environment at Hays State Prison. I do appreciate those questions, and I hope those answers were satisfactory to you, but we got 2 escapees we've got to recapture, so we're going to end this at this time. Thank you.
On the other side of the razor wire, the shakedown is getting interesting.
There you go, Sergeant.
SO 134A.
They have found a makeshift cell phone charger, which means the search may be close.
Yeah, we got a one-way battery pack charger cell phone. Locked them down, and we locked up 8 guys out here based on like the tape and things like that. The guys usually tape up them sticks. And somebody gonna tell us something before it's over with.
Good.
But just as Jacobs is about to dig into the shakedown himself, he's once again on the move.
All right, look here, you get her back on the phone if you know who she is, and you keep her on the phone and you keep a visual. Danforth, thank you. Talk to me, what's this about over there?
Listen, we got to get a perimeter set up there quickly.
All right. Just got a call. Got an employee here at the prison just reported that saw some folks crawling through her backyard.
There's been a sighting, one of several over the last 2 days. But what makes this one different is that it was called in by a prison employee from the kitchen.
Now I want you to hit C1, and then I want you to hit laundry. And look here, get with Cedric on that information on that food service employee. And let's make sure her personal work area is searched as well, people.
One of the escapees, Michael Tweedle, held a job there, so any connection to a food service worker could lead to something.
Hold on, let's go. I'll call you right back. Let's go. Look here, get in your car, come out to a right on 27. Call me when you get right there.
The location turns out to be near the external perimeter, which could have serious implications. That would mean the inmates could soon breach the containment zone and possibly make it past the search efforts.
Put that lady on the phone. It's got them directions right quick. Talk to me, 27 North. I got it.
The team has surrounded the caller's home. Approaching a sighting is always risky, especially in this case.
Well, I think you have to prepare for anything. They've been known to break in residences, as we know. Most folks that live in this area have lethal weapons in their residence. Firearms, rifles, shotguns, pistols.
Johnny Mac Brown shot a security guard 3 times during the armed robbery that put him behind bars. The team has to anticipate that he could find a weapon and be ready to use it.
As soon as I saw 2 people hit right there, I ran in here in my bedroom at top of prison, and I told them my address and told them where I was at and who I was, and I said they'd get somebody help me.
As Jacobs takes the woman inside for further questioning, other officers stand by, in case the fugitives are lurking somewhere around the neighborhood, or even in her home. After a thorough search of the area and her property, they can find nothing. No clues, no scent, no evidence that either Tweedle or Brown had been there. It may seem like just another false alarm, a bad sighting, but this means they have no reason to believe the fugitives have breached the perimeter. With every minute counting, Jacobs races back to the prison to shake out new intelligence and turn up the heat on the inmates at Hayes.
Let's go line up right now, guys. We're gonna go in 2 lines right here. 2 lines right here.
Day 3 of the manhunt is amping up. The cell phone that may have facilitated the double escape from Hayes never appeared in C-Dorm. Now D-Dorm is the next target of the search.
Let's get.
It's the same drill, only bigger. Nearly 50 officers make a surprise approach to the dorm, which is already on lockdown.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Quickly, quickly, let's go. 120, 121, let's go. Hey, I need somebody on this door.
Each officer heads to a window, giving the inmates no chance to react before being watched.
Pull your cheeks apart. Open them out.
During thorough strip searches, anyone who appears to conceal contraband is immediately removed. One inmate isn't quick enough.
I'm standing here watching. The shirt hanging right here. He dropped one head dropped shirt. They heard Charlie talking about dropping the shirt down. As soon as he dropped it, he just turned, threw it in the toilet, and hit the button. I was sitting there watching when it went down.
He flushed it. I don't know if we can get it or not, if it's down in the toilet or what.
A complete disassembling of the toilet yields nothing. Either the officer was mistaken, or the contraband made it into central plumbing. As inmates are taken onto the yard, the shakedown intensifies, and rooms are turned upside down. The officers find shanks and a tattoo gun, things that would ordinarily mean a successful shakedown. But there's no sign of the cell phone, so the search continues.
I need 4 on 115.
Finally, they've got it. This could be a huge break in the search, and Taylor removes the SIM card to investigate whatever information it might hold. Inmates who live in the cells where the contraband is found are taken off the yard and sent straight to the hole. The rest wait to pick up the pieces. After a big incident like an escape, shakedowns and lockdowns will become increasingly common. Security will intensify and take away the little sense of freedom inmates have. Only 3 days in, the effects are already changing the daily routine. And that too can be threatening as tension builds within an already volatile population.
we knew what was coming, and we knew we would be the ones paying for it.
Well, I mean, a big part of doing time is finding a routine, you know what I'm saying? You fall into something and it, you know, I guess it seems to make your days go by quicker, you know? But when all of a sudden your whole routine gets jumbled all around and you never know, you know, when you can do this or when you can't do this.
Inmates don't like change because you don't have a stable environment to adjust to.
An escape is serious business, and one of this magnitude is a first at Hayes. The shockwaves are felt in every dorm of the prison.
It's changed an awful lot of things around here, and probably, without a doubt, Hayes State Prison will never be the same again.
With the hours ticking down, the team is rushing off in pursuit of another sighting that is disturbingly several miles outside the external perimeter.
You had a white male fitting the description of one of the escapees from Hayes State Prison, and as soon as this particular person saw the car, they bolted across the field and ran into a wooded area in a hayfield.
Well, I was driving south here, and I saw an individual that was walking north, and he kind of looked like the guy with a mustache,
right.
And he had something draped over his arm, and I remember that one of them got injured when he went over the fence.
Right. Direction of travel?
Yes, he was traveling north.
Once he left the roadway?
He had gotten off of the road, and it was around one of these hay bales. And
Gotcha.
that's where we are now, sir.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
A white male with a mustache and possible injuries on his arm is a good match of Michael Tweedle, who had a bad entanglement with the razor wire. If the sighting is legitimate, that means the two fugitives have also split up, making the search twice as difficult. Jacobs calls in a chopper and the K-9s.
Now bring a bloodhound. This may be a long track. This looks like a little rural area. If he crossed the road on the other side of 151, then he got nothing but ridge.
K-9 handlers are now on the scene. They are looking for any consistent scent that could be the escapee. But in such a vast open field, this is a daunting task. Ultimately, they cannot establish a track, and the chopper sees nothing. They are still without a lead. But to the team, this is just further confirmation that the men are still within the perimeter, waiting to be flushed into the open. When they get back to the prison, there's another matter to attend to. The inmates in the G dorm have been acting out, shouting threats out the windows at the officers. With so many officers out working to recapture, inmates could be seeking an advantage. The prison takes action to stop the disruption, starting with the biggest troublemakers.
First target in here for aggravated assault, max out 2012. In SMU, assault another inmate with a shank stabbing, right? His past MO has been possession of a weapon, and he ain't been afraid to use it. You got me?
Yes, sir.
You understand? I need you to get some fire gas right now.
Yes, sir.
It's all about intimidation. You got me? Anybody don't want to go? Anybody scared to go? I didn't think so. Let's go.
This will be a different kind of shakedown. This is not just about uncovering intelligence or finding cell phones. It is also about empowering the officers and sending a message that the prison is in charge. The officers go directly to the worst offenders, ready for anything to get out of hand.
That was you hollering out that window? Man, what about some respect for people? You right. No, you saying that now. But you know, you talking all that trash out the window because you thought we wasn't gonna come over here, okay? All right.
Melted like ice cream. Melted like an ice cream.
The show of force serves its purpose. Nobody puts up a struggle, not even the rowdiest of the bunch. While the Hayes officers finish up in G, the team leaves to keep pushing on with the recapture.
I want you to handle this down here, and I want this place quieting down. It'll be like a cemetery in a lockdown here.
Tonight's shakedown points to an increased intensity in prison security, a demonstration of strength to ensure major incidents like an escape never happen again.
Everybody feeling all right today?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. All right, listen to me. Day 4, we had no intelligence whatsoever regarding the whereabouts of either of these two guys, Johnny Mack or Tweedle. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We're going to do probably one of the largest ground searches in an organized manner that's ever been done at Hayes State Prison since its existence.
After 3 days of dead ends and bad leads, it can seem impossible that the fugitives could still be within the perimeter. But Jacobs and his team continue to sense they are there, and there are only a few quadrants left to search.
This ain't no damn football game. We ain't going to no rodeo. We're looking for some convicts. We're looking for some evidence to indicate convicts have been there. This is an organized and professional clearing of this entire quadrant right here. This is all business. There's been enough bull going on. This is all business.
81 correctional officers are convening for the largest foot search in Hays State's history. Their mission? Uncover any evidence that Tweedle and Brown had been there, if not the fugitives themselves.
34P copy.
All right quick like. Everybody clear on objectives? Recognize what you're dealing with. And what you're dealing with right over here is some thick underbrush and the potential to have something in there that we need to know exists. Any questions? Everybody ready to go? You don't sound like you're ready to go. Is everybody ready to go? All right. Move them out, let's go, roll!
It is down to the wire for the search team to try and catch the 2 inmates who made the most brazen escape in Hays history. These 81 correctional officers are walking end to end across an entire quadrant, looking for any signs of the fugitives.
Make a hole in the line for that livestock.
Ain't nothing too little, ain't nothing stupid now. Everything.
To Jacobs and his team, Tweedle and Brown are still in the containment zone, potentially in rough terrain like this. This is one of the last quadrants to clear, so if his assumptions are correct, he could find more than just evidence.
I've seen it happen. We were conducting large line searches to clear quadrants and have been walking through large fields in rural parts of southern Georgia, and the escapee popped up.
G1, hold your line, hold your line.
Hold the line.
Hold the line.
What's this about face business?
I got something on the end of the line I gotta go check out, so we're gonna hold the line.
Here.
That is a human track right there.
Yeah, that one right there, that's the one we've been.
And that over yonder is too. Something's been moving it.
Work your way down to G1 and 2, see what's going on.
So we got some human tracks over there, boot marks in that mud. We got a couple more. Nobody's crossed creek yet, right?
You might want to talk to me now. Tell me what you got.
Going parallel with the river, there's a little slough comes off the river when everybody across the slough.
You just mark it. Make sure you know where it's at. We can point it out on a map based on that slough. We got K9, we'll bring right in on it.
In these backwoods, the footprint could be anyone's. But at this point in the search, anything counts.
Move line!
Move line!
3 hours later, they reach the end of the quadrant. But the findings are small and inconsequential. After 4 straight days on the search, the officers are hungry, wet, and exhausted. But the trackers remain convinced that they are still getting closer.
From day 1, it's much more believable to believe they're still in it. Day 7, it gets harder to believe. But until you flush the entire containment zone, unless you have any other intel, then they're still there.
Over the next 3 days, the team sticks to a strategy. Finally, they are proven right, but in the worst way.
Y'all heard the other day that we had an upstanding young lady from this community who was abducted about 4:30 by knife point by escapee Johnny Mac Brown. He forced her to take him to a place in Franklin County. More importantly, she is home safe. We're excited about that.
On day 7, the approaching line search drove Johnny Mac Brown to rush into a nearby home, where he kidnapped a young woman and forced her to drive him across the perimeter. It took this unfortunate incident to prove that at least one of the fugitives was laying low in the containment zone all along.
The particular escapee did show themselves on the last day of the last quadrant that was searched. So, in fact, we were on target there.
There were additional sightings of Michael Tweedle outside the perimeter, the first evidence that he too is no longer in close range. With both fugitives gone, it was time to break down the perimeter and pass the search to the U.S. Marshals.
Y'all be safe, all right? Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all.
While he did not get his men, Jacobs was confident that his team forced the men to run. And in a manhunt, a moving target is much easier to catch. Once again, his experience proved correct.
Community is breathing a sigh of relief tonight as an escaped prisoner is back behind bars.
Johnny Mac Brown has been captured in Livonia, Georgia.
He was captured early Saturday morning, more than 150 miles away from the Hays State Prison in Tryon that he escaped from a month ago.
About 3 weeks later, 3 Livonia police officers arrested Brown while he was walking along a highway near Athens, Georgia. He fought hard and even grabbed for an officer's gun.
Officers had to use nightsticks, pepper spray, and even a taser to subdue Brown. At first, police didn't recognize him and had no idea the criminal they were dealing with.
He was taken straight to the Hymax in Jackson. While in custody, he was uncooperative in helping the team locate and recapture Michael Tweedle. But 1 month after the escape, Hays is still recovering and becoming a much different place, even beyond additional layers of razor wire. A new warden has ensured that movement is tight and security stays high.
Y'all get behind line, fellas.
There is stricter enforcement of rules and restrictions designed to keep an iron grip on anyone who dares to buck them.
A lot of changes in a short period of time, and a lot of different things to get used to.
Of course, you know, we were all rooting for him, you know what I mean, and whatever, and then he gets caught, and what good did it do, you know what I mean? He's sitting down there in Supermax, and we might as well be in Supermax, you know? You know, it totally throws everything off balance. Him getting caught ain't changing nothing. Him escaping changed everything.
Johnny Mac Brown may never see the changes his actions brought to Hays State Prison.
Brown, how are you doing?
His new home is the F Wing of the Hymax unit, the most secure facility in Georgia, where he will await trial on new charges of escape, kidnapping, and assault. What took Michael Tweedle and Johnny Mac Brown minutes to accomplish on October 13th has shaken the prison to its core. But those who really know Hays State Prison, those who do the years here, say these incidents will come and go.
Well, the system always got to go back on track because, see, you're going to have change of command and you always got new arrivals coming in. Always. And sooner or later, something will happen, whether some stabbing happen or some more escaping happen, something going to happen for something to flip over. It don't stay the same. It cannot stay the same. It cannot stay the same.
The prison will get tougher, but however strict the new order, inmates will always find new ways to push back. Behind bars, there are always 2 sets of rules, the prison protocol and the convict code. This is the never-ending battle of doing hard time.